I'm going to be using wax paper for the roots and use some Brusho to create the tree. I've got an enormous spray bottle for when I'm working on larger sheets, and that allows me to generously wet the page. I've got some ultramarine over here. This is French ultramarine, and I'm going to use it just a little bit up the top, and then I'm going to switch to this beautiful chromium blue and allow those colours to do something rather soft and lovely. Just get the water to do some beautiful things in the sky. Tip it a range of directions, and I might prop it up. I've got a jar here. I'm going to prop it up and get it to flow while I put in a little more chromium. And yep, that's excellent. Okay, that's enough of the tipping, because I want to keep lots of water on this bottom section. I've got this super granulating watercolour from Schmincke called Glacier Brown. I've squeezed a large quantity onto my palette, and 3/4 of this painting is the foreground and all those fabulous roots. So I'm hoping that this Schmincke colour will make fabulous textures. I'm also hoping that the ultramarine I'll put some ultramarine into it. Beautiful big angle we want going on here. And I'm going to drop in some of that ultramarine as well. And then get a big piece of my wax paper and tear it into strips and crinkle it up and put it on. I'll try and take note of the way. I'll just put this in view here. One goes that way. It's quite, oh actually, oh look at that, it's actually tilted that way. And then I'll get another strip and scrunch it up again, and that goes, oh, it doesn't need to be long. That goes that way, so I'm taking note of that next one that leads to the tree. The tree is going to be here, and then we've got the travelling up the hill. They get really tight, so squeeze it together. And I might put a little one behind the tree over here and really scrunch it up. Let's scrunch, scrunch. So over here, need another little bit. And this time the roots are coming down. So I'm going to put some twisted bits in that hopefully will look a bit like the roots. Who knows? Right, I need way more paint under here. I want a big fat root there, like that. And I want a big fat root here, like that, there. That one goes that way. This is the base of the tree. And there are a lot of darks in at the base of the tree. So I might go back into this beautiful ultramarine and squeeze in some lovely dark colour. A bit more dark under there, dark under there. And I'm going to put in more paint underneath. Get the massage that and get it to move, I think. A bit more paint. Especially on the blue bits. I don't want it to look too blue. I'd like it to blend a bit. All right, I think I'll just put it on an angle and put the jar back under it. Now I'm just going to watch it for a minute. I want it to come down, and then when it hits here, there's a beautiful white bit where the light is hitting the grass. I don't know whether I can include that or not because I want these colours to travel this direction. My sky looks lovely and smooth. I've allowed this big daub of cerulean chromium to remain there. I'm fine with that. I've got a pool here in this little valley of moisture, but that's okay. That's going to slowly move down to the edge of the board and then slowly move down here. I think that's looking like it'll be okay. I'm just staring at the image and deciding the tree will go here. This mountain goes right up to there. If I might put in a little more brown, right up to there it goes. Nearly run out, right up to there. And it goes across and behind the tree into here. The tree will be here. There, the tree will be. There, and it will come down. There's all this beautiful light hitting these rows of, it's this incredible erosion on the island, on Norfolk Island. So just put in some strokes. Right, I'm going to mix now on the page some of this ultramarine and the brown, the glacier brown, to make a grey. And just put those little strokes in again. Put some darks in over here. And there's a fabulous dark in there. This is just very slowly moving. I think I shall squeeze out a little bit more of this glacier brown. And mix it with more ultramarine. Nothing happened then. Oh, I'm totally messing my ultramarine. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was after. A grey, darker brown. I'm going to actually use this brush to get rid of that mess I just made. Been really enjoying using the ultramarine. A little bit of water on my brush just to get it moving. It's quite sticky otherwise. I'm going to put some beautiful darks in there and in here. And there's darks up there too. And then redo these striations that indicate all the erosion as it goes up. Comes along here, put in some in between my marks, the darks over there. Isn't it? This dark is just beautiful. There's a space under there. I'm going to put some. All right, that's better. And down here, I'll just put in a little bit of this detail to make the light lighter. And then there's a darker patch down there. A few little lumpy looking patches. I'll just put in some lumps. These are some little grassy bits. Actually, they're all little tiny grassy bits here. All grassy. Just put in some suggestions of grass. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'm going to grab some of that. I'm going to wash my brush before sticking it in the chromium. Often I don't care, but I've squeezed out such a lot that I do care at the moment. I'm mixing some of the glacier brown with the chromium just to neutralize it that bit. And that way I'm bringing some of both of the blues that I used in the sky and bringing them into the foreground. Now, I might try these little grassy marks again into these bits here. Just going around and thinking, where else can I put some lovely detail while it's in this beautiful wet state. It's so easy to drop in colour. It's just a breeze. Right, a little more grassy shapes, I think. Suggestion of grassiness. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. A day has passed and the painting has finished air drying, and I get this very great pleasure of removing all the pieces of wax paper. And if you do end up making this painting with wax paper, it is so much better than any other sort of paper, because you could see it just completely came off like a dream, and it leaves these fabulous irregular, very abstract looking textures. So I've got my image here. Just ignore the fact that it's printed in blue like that. There's a problem with my printer. My plan is to use Brusho next on, I'm going to paint the tree in water and a background tree as well that I can see in this image, which was incredibly green in real life. And I'm going to be using Brusho. This is how Brusho comes in these little tiny jars. I've decanted them into these little, they're kind of like little puffer jars, and they allow me to release a really tiny bit of Brusho onto the page. And a big thank you to one of my students, Karen, who put me onto those fabulous little bottles. I'm going to use my really big brush, and the first thing I'm going to do is put in the trunk with water, and then I'm going to slowly put in the background tree. And so the first color I'm going to be using is black. All right, so let's grab a whole stack of water, and the tree trunk starts here, it goes along there, and that's how wide I want it to be, right like that. And I'm just going to establish the shape, just get thinner as I go up the page, and it really lent inwards like that. And also with water, I'm going to put in some fabulous roots which creep down through the ravaged landscape. So I'm just putting in water, and the Brusho is going to be very attracted to wherever the water goes. And dump that brush and grab the black. Lots of people just take the little jars of Brusho and put a pin hole in the top and just tap it out gently. And just release it so that the water goes where I want it to go. I think that's better. I want this one to release this way. So just turn it on the side so it releases. Seems to be working sometimes, and then not at other times. Put in some water for the tree, and I'll do the same with emerald green. A little bit of green on the tree, just on the left-hand side only. Now you can start to see how much of the Brusho dust is actually on this side and out there. It was hard to see before, and then suddenly it becomes obvious. I want this to get thinner as it goes up. It's actually really wide at the bottom. While it's beautiful and wet, I might just put some of the green on now to check it's going to look the way I want. Okay, that's really good. And I'll just continue up with the foliage. There. Then come back to the green. See, I could actually spray it straight up, but I know that it's just all going to land somewhere up near my laptop, which I don't really want. Just put in there. Well, that looks pretty fucking excellent. I'm going to put in the tree trunk while it's in this beautiful wet state, and this is the same, these are the same colors that I had on my palette earlier, so luckily I've kept them all so that it's easy for me to come in with the trunk, and I'm sticking with the same palette as in color palette. There. And then I want to bring some of the branches out like that. Put in a fat trunk down there. Oops, oopsie, I've accidentally dropped my brush into that dark blue. That was not my intention. There are these lovely branches that are coming out at random angles. Just some thin lines that you start to notice as you move up them in the branch. And so I need more greenery in there. This is sitting behind hilltop here. That is connected to that. And I might just soften off some of those edges. Make them a little thinner, make some of that green go behind that trunk. That green goes right in along there. That's part of what's making that tree trunk pop. And then there's all these little tiny delicate edges all along these. So I'm just going to spend a minute making little delicate marks on the edge of the little tiny little delicate. I'm just using the absolute tip of my brush kind of like little calligraphic marks, just teasing out the edge all the way up so that I get little tiny marks. That's quite good. Make that go into there and along there. I think I'll just colour in that colour in. Okay, so this green needs to be replicated behind there very quickly. And I'm going to start, there is actually a tree over here. It's really high, so if this goes up to here, I'm going to put in a tree that starts there. And then there's foliage going up. And actually there's just a mass of foliage. And I think this foliage belongs to this tree. Oh, so there's some distant foliage there. So I think I'll put that one in first. But I need just some scratchy kind of marks. Spray in the green. I need to get that in. There, and then do the same thing that I did on the left side of the trunk. Just come down just to soften down there, just really to match up the backgrounds. So is my goal. And I'll put a little more green in there, and some of this beautiful grey. There's a little bit more of it down on the bottom of my palette, thank goodness, so that I can put in some marks that are the little random brushes. Oh, and this has a trunk. Put the trunk in dark, dark, dark. And go back to the yeah, it's good. And I need to also put in some of these branches that belong to this tree. I think I'll put in a couple over here where it's dry. And then I will put some more in when that actually is dry. Change the colour a little. It's not all the same grey. A whole stack of brushy kind of marks. Just going to put in some soft brushy marks up there. Try and keep them thin. Bit of texture. And it's pretty good. I need to soften this side of the trunk. That line. think that's good enough for now.